Formula One is back in Europe, and after 2 years away, we are here in Imola. A historic and old-school racetrack is our stage as teams test upgrades. The driver market continues to bubble away, and are Red Bull beatable? All this and more on your weekend warm-up. Hello and welcome down to a very rainy paddock. About 5 minutes ago, the umbrellas were down. We were feeling smug. The heavens have now opened. This could be a talking point this weekend. Welcome to your weekend warm-up here from the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Welcome to Lawrence Barretto as ever. And Davide Valsecchi, welcome to F1 TV, our newest edition, 2012 GP2 champion alongside me and gallantly holding an umbrella as well. Welcome, Davide, how are you?
Ciao, Laura. Ciao, guys. I'm not very lucky today. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys.
And it's brilliant as well to be back in Imola, of course. One of two races in Italy for this season after those devastating floods that we saw last year put an end to the Grand Prix. We pay tribute here, standing here to the emergency services, all of those affected by those floods as well, and are so happy, aren't we, Lawrence, that we are actually back here now and able to put on a Grand Prix. I must hasten to add, this rain we are seeing not forecast to last throughout the weekend. Mixed conditions for Sunday, but tomorrow and Saturday dry-ish. But it's good to be here, isn't it?
It's so good to be here, and I should just say that this is not obviously how I normally sound, but I have indeed lost my voice. So I'd try and do the best that I can. But actually, Yuki Tsunoda was saying earlier today, he obviously lives very close down the road in Faenza, and he was saying about the destruction, you know, that it caused, the flooding here last year, and how within 3 or 4 days the city had done such a great job to pull everything together. And obviously there's been a healing process around here, so it's so good to be back here racing. Maybe not in this weather. I hope it perks up for the fans, because I hear there's 200,000 expected over the course of this weekend. Hopefully it improves and it gets a bit softer than this, and they can get some great racing out of it.
I have to say it's been dry all day. I've had a coat on, a coat off, expecting this weather to come. It was expected around 2 p.m, nothing. And then, of course, when we go on air, it's an absolute deluge. But Lawrence and I are British, we're more than used to it. Sorry about your voice. Clearly that party in Miami was a big one. Yeah.
If only I was partying, if only that was the excuse.
We'll give you a break. This is our first European race, and there is so much to get into. Upgrades, the driver market, silly season in full throttle. Davide Valsecchi, though, first up for you, putting you to the test. Here on F1 TV Weekend Warm-Up, we do a 60-second recap of our last race, and it is your turn, my friend, today. Davide Valsecchi, take it away, the Miami Grand Prix.
And what a great race, what a great race. Immediately the start was shocking, because check it out. From fourth position, Perez just missed the first break at the first corner, and then he got lucky that he didn't hit anyone. So lucky for him. And then Piastri, that was amazing. The first part of the race took the position on Leclerc. Mistake by Verstappen cost him a lot on performance at the end. And then the crash that changed the race between Magnussen and Sargent. Magnussen got penalized for it, but gave the chance to Lando Norris to use the strategy and to put himself in first position after the pit stop under safety car. And then from now on, just was the best Lando Norris. The brave move of Carlos Sainz on Piastri, and the last part of the track cost him a penalty, but look, Piastri wasn't difficult in the last few laps. Perez and Hamilton got the position on the outside with a brave move, and here Lando Norris celebrating a wonderful and amazing performance with the first victory in his career. Bravo Norris, mamma mia!
Bravo, Davide Valsecchi. Check it out was probably my favourite beginning to any 60-second recap that we've ever had. Welcome to F1 TV. And look, what a win that was for Lando Norris. A landmark moment. You don't forget your first wins, do you, Davide? And he won't forget that one in a hurry.
Yeah, it was huge because he's talented, he's so good, he's a fantastic driver. Everyone knows it. But you are in the history when you win your first GP. And so now I think he's considering himself a champion, and they can deliver even more, like the rain today, even more every second.
I can't quite believe this rain. We're going to see if we can get somewhere remotely a little bit more dry. Our poor feet may be thanking us. But here, earlier on this week, I headed off to Woking to definitely didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of witnessing the celebrations back at McLaren as Lando Norris returned a Grand Prix winner. Take a look.
15 times Lando Norris has stood on the podium, but never on the top step. Until now, Lando Norris wins for the first time in Formula One. It's victory in Miami for Norris and McLaren.
We're here at the McLaren Technology Centre to soak up the celebrations. Lando Norris, you are a Grand Prix winner. How does that sound?
It's amazing. It's really been amazing. I've had like the best, I'd say last 3 days of my life. I think Monday morning's like the best feeling because I woke up being a race winner. So yeah, it was one of the best feelings ever.
And the reception to this win has been incredible as well. How much has that meant to you?
I mean, honestly, that's the thing which kind of makes me happiest and really puts the biggest smile on my face is people sharing it with me and kind of also caring about it, you know, like the fact I get to share it with the whole team. The amount of fans, all the drivers that came up to me, for them to kind of come up, congratulate me. I know like Lewis has got a hell of a lot more wins than that, but just to kind of join that club, which not a lot of people in the world are a part of. That's the thing I respect the most, is the reception I get from other people.
Broken riptide!
I think the most important thing is it gives the team that realization of we can do it, we can beat all these other guys, and I think that's the coolest thing about all of it.
Ah, what a win it was, what a weekend it was. I still get emotional actually listening to his race radio after the race and the interview that you did with him, Lawrence, in which you referenced Gilles de Ferran and the belief that Gilles had in him. We have managed to find somewhere slightly more dry. We're currently sheltering in the media pen. You can see the Red Bull motorhome behind us. This, of course, our first European paddock of the season. Davide, McLaren upgrades. First time of asking, out in Miami, and they worked. Am I getting a bit ahead of myself to say they've closed that gap to Red Bull? Or
Yeah,
do you
probably
think...
yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, during the race pace, yes, because you're right. I mean, in the last few races, they are performing so well in the race pace, most of it with Lando Norris. But I'm sure that here, with the update giving also to Oscar Piastri, that he didn't use it in Miami, they can have also the steps for Oscar to try to being closer to his teammate, because he's delivering an amazing performance on the race pace in the last part of the race in China and in Miami. Miami got the victory, and here in Imola, we'll see. But he loves the circuit. He was on the podium before 2021, I think, Norris, and so he knows how to do here.
In theory, they should be really strong around here, McLaren. But then having said that, every circuit they've gone to this year where they said they were going to be strong, they've struggled. And they've gone to circuits where they thought they'd struggle, they've actually been really strong. I think what's really encouraging when you talk to the team and the technical team there is they're putting these updates on the car and they're delivering the kind of performance that they're expecting. And even Oscar, with 50% of the package, looked quite strong in that race, didn't he, in that early phase before it kind of fell away from him. So I think with the full package, a lot of understanding now, and 3 practice sessions to really fine-tune that package, I think they're going to be a force around here this weekend.
Yeah, Oscar Piastri, of course, half the upgrades for him in Miami, the full upgrade set here. He's looking confident. That first stint for him in Miami was mighty impressive as well. So even half an upgrade in McLaren is looking absolutely rapid. I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think Ferrari will certainly be keeping an eye on McLaren. They, though, bringing their own upgrades. Worth noting a bit of personnel change coming into one of their 2 home races for this season. Xavi Marcos, Charles Leclerc's engineer, has been replaced. Davide, what does this mean within a team, do you think? How disruptive is this, first of all? And what do you think the reasons behind it could be?
Surprised me, this move from Ferrari, because you know, the racing engineer is the key point and key position for the driver. No, is the first person that you react to. Setup changes, the person that you speak with during the race. So it's the key role for the driver during the racing weekend. Usually you don't change it during the season, but you do this type of changing at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year. And so surprised me a bit, but seems that was needed. Probably, you know, this guy was a good one, but maybe a bit too soft with Leclerc. The relationship didn't work so well in the last few races, and probably they needed something different to just be more efficient, more performance. And you know, he has also a big challenge in front of him next year, with Lewis Hamilton coming to Ferrari. I mean, he needs to raise up a bit the level to just trying to be the best driver in the world. Lando Norris just reached this level now, and so I think Ferrari with Leclerc needs to react here in Imola. Home race, got a victory, would be huge.
That would be something, wouldn't it, with an upgraded Ferrari. Brian Boggi is replacing Javi Marcos in that. Loic Serra and Jerome D'Ambrosio have also been poached from Mercedes by Ferrari, as it looks like Fred Vasseur is just building this dream team within Formula One. What do you make of Ferrari's chances here with upgrades, some major ones as well? It's looking big, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they're trying to play things down, as you'd expect. What they did, interestingly, was they didn't bring any upgrades to China. They didn't bring anything to Miami because they were sprint weekends. So they brought this, what they're calling a bigger package, to this track so they can use all 3 practice sessions to kind of fine-tune it, build up, learn about it, and not get lost, because that was one thing Ferrari sometimes used to do. They used to get lost and not quite understand the package that they brought. I think, honestly, they are expecting a step. I think they can see that they're making steps every single time they put the car on the track, and they know that they're in that window where if they get everything right, they can put Red Bull under pressure. And they want to stay in that window, because at the minute, when you're in that window, Red Bull are making mistakes, and that's what they want to ensure. Look, I spoke to Fred this morning, and he wasn't having any of it when I was trying to get him to really push him on, like how could can you win here? He's having none of it, obviously. But I do think there is this vibe within the team that they're one of the happiest teams actually up and down this paddock at the minute. Everyone seems very harmonious. Everyone seems like they're getting on. They've got 2 drivers operating at a high level. It's looking good.
And even departing Carlos Sainz as well is fully embedded in that team and fully invested in that team's success. You've got your ear to the ground so often in this paddock. Any news on where Carlos Sainz might be going, or is he one of the drivers holding the cards in this driver market silly season that we are having this year?
I think we're all waiting for him and for Max to decide what they're going to do in their long-term futures. I think for Carlos, how can he not wait to see if there's a gap at Mercedes? How can he not wait to see if there's a gap at Red Bull when at the minute he's winning races, he's fighting for podiums, he's at the peak of his career. He doesn't want to yet decide to go and take a longer-term project, maybe at Audi, even though that is a very, very good one if you want to commit, 4 or 5 years to really doing it. So at the minute, I think he's playing it safe. It must be pretty stressful, if I'm honest, because at the minute you've seen Alex Albon just re-signed with Williams. Those little deals are going to continue to happen over time, and Carlos has got to make sure he's not left off the wheel when it all comes down.
Yeah, great stuff. We're going to chat about Alex Albon in just a moment as well, committing his future to Williams. Let's take a look, though, at the Driver Championship standings at the moment. Here's how the points stack up. Max Verstappen is leading the way in your Driver Championship. Sergio Perez, P2, a 1-2 for Red Bull. Norris and Sainz are equal on 83 points. Piastri is chasing them in P6. And Tsunoda as well, doing so well in that top 10. 14 points for him. And then we move further down. Ollie Behrman's still up there. I'm really enjoying that. And you can see here Daniel Ricciardo on 5 points, a little bit off his teammate, right through to the likes of Williams and Sauber, who are yet to score a point. We'll start with VCAR. We saw there Yuki Tsunoda picking up so many points, many of them actually last time out in Miami. What did you make of their performance there, Davide?
They were competitive. They were very competitive because they were extremely competitive in the sprint race with Ricciardo that had his best race so far. And then they were fantastic during the race with Tsunoda. That in the last few races, he's always delivering on Sunday and is getting better and better and better as a driver. Did you remember at the beginning of the season where he was scoring points, he was competitive, but he was fighting with the team, he was always aggressive on the team radio? Seems that the situation for him is getting better, he's more patient, more calm, and he's delivering the result and makes the driver more confident. Is huge the step that he's doing, and probably, if there is a chance in Red Bull in the future, the driver is getting ready for the future, and I'm happy for him. Everyone was thinking Ricciardo is going to destroy him. It's not like this. The young kids, they are improving and they are getting better, and Tsunoda is one of these. I'm happy.
Yeah,
it's a big surprise.
For sure. He was so calm and focused when I spoke to him earlier as well, wanting to get a job done. Of course, the factory just 15 minutes away from here. He'll be looking to really make an impact, knowing it will mean all the more on home soil. Let's look at their sister team then. Red Bull leading the standings, but unsettled last weekend. Here's Max Verstappen.
Miami was a bit of an off weekend for you, oddly so. Well, how did the debrief go? Did you find out kind of how much time the car was losing? Does that not give you any concerns into this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, Miami can always be quite a tricky track. I guess from our side we didn't get on top of things fully, but that happens. You try to be perfect. It's not always possible. And we'll try to, of course, do better here. Of course, a lot of teams are coming with upgrades, including ourselves. So we have to wait and see how that will go. But yeah, one step at a time. We try to do the best we can again.
Does it feel like Red Bull's comfort zone is getting a little bit smaller, and genuinely rivals like Ferrari, Mercedes, or McLaren rather, are pushing you weekend in, weekend out?
To be honest, I'm not really thinking about that. I just try to get into every single weekend, try to do the best we can. If that means that's we have the quickest car, then that's fine. We try to win the race, but naturally, of course, the people around us, they try to improve their cars as well. And Miami was just maybe not our best weekend. At the end of the day, we still scored the most points in Miami, So if that's a bad weekend, then I take that.
That's a point, isn't it? A bad weekend for Red Bull was a P2 for Max Verstappen, and seeing a very good friend in Lando Norris win the race. He was magnanimous in defeat and actually still isn't taking anything away from Lando Norris. He's not talking about the bollard, he's not talking about potential floor damage or the timing of the safety car that, Lando Norris got a little bit lucky with that, as we so often see in Formula One, which is great to see. Pierre Walsh and Ben Waterhouse have both committed their future to Red Bull. They're securing their technical team looking ahead, but that's not to say they haven't lost one very, very big figure within that team, Adrian Newey, and his future and where he may end up is still very much up in the air. I think he's gone pretty much on record today saying that, or today in the last couple of days anyway, saying that he does want to come back into Formula One and he does see himself coming back into a team, doesn't he, Lawrence? What are you hearing?
Yeah, I think what's really interesting about that interview that you're referencing is that he was saying he's seriously considering coming back and that he's got options, but he needs time. And I think what that means is actually he hasn't decided what he wants to do. And I think if you talk to a lot of people up and down this paddock over the last couple of races, it was a sure thing where he was going to go, that he'd left Red Bull because he knew what he wanted to do. But that interview suggested actually he wasn't quite sure, but he did want a new project. Look, at the minute, I would say Ferrari is still the favourite to get his signature, but the very fact that he hasn't decided yet, the fact that James Vowles is saying that he's still in the mix, the fact that apparently Aston Martin, even though publicly they're saying they're not, are supposedly in the mix as well. There are a number of teams, even Audi have said that they would be interested, because how could you ignore him? I think it's really interesting that they're all chasing him, and he's probably having a bit of fun, right? Kind of going around all the teams and seeing what kind of deal he can get.
Speaking of Williams and James Vowles, they may not have secured Newey just yet. Who knows if they will, and his career will come full circle, but they have secured Alex Albon. Davide, what was your reaction to that news, that he's committed his future? He was in the mix, wasn't he, for the likes of Red Bull, for the likes of Mercedes, but he's tied into Williams.
Yeah, I think good for Williams. I mean, I consider a very valuable driver, Alexander Albon, and I think that Williams signed in because he knows that he can be good enough to be in a stronger team and to be on top. And Williams has history. Williams is a legendary squad. Williams knows how to win races and how to win championship, and probably in the next future they would like to come back on top. And with Albon, I think they have the right driver to be competitive and to score a lot of points because he knows how to do it. So I was happy for Williams that they keep him.
Yeah, for sure. They are yet to score a point so far this season. It's been mighty tough for them. But Alex Albon committing to that team will be a boost indeed. Earlier on, I had a chat with him. Well, congratulations. A new contract. Talk us through the decision and why Williams is the best option for you.
Yeah, well, firstly, I believe in the process. I believe in the journey that we're on. There was a bit of time to have a think about it. Not too much time with the driver market, but it felt like it was the right call. I've obviously been with this team for 2 years now. I see what's going on behind the scenes. I see how big of a change is happening behind. It's partly, I think it's why this year's been a little bit more difficult than the previous year, just because there's a lot of catching up to do. But that's a good thing. That shows the foundations are changing, and I think the foundations that are being laid down are what's going to bring us to the front. So yeah.
It's been a tricky season so far. Williams yet to score a point. There are upgrades here. What are your hopes at Imola, at a track that is a driver's favourite but a challenge?
It is. I'm excited about the upgrades. It's actually the first step we've taken towards reducing the weight out of our car. I think that will just continue throughout the year, and hopefully that will get us into a good place. We've been fighting the midfield relatively okay, considering, let's call it a handicap that we've been carrying. So yeah, it should be a good track to see it, because especially when tracks are fast flowing and they change direction like Imola, you really start to feel weight. And so fingers crossed.
Thank you very much. Best of luck. A slippery Williams may just have got a bit slipperier, that's a word, isn't it, down the straights here, as they are letting off a bit of weight here with some of the upgrades they are bringing. I think we can't overestimate the impact that Alex Albon has on Williams as a team. He scored all but one of their points last season. They would not have got anywhere near P7 in the championship without him. He's mighty important to them, but also he's got a leadership quality, Lawrence, doesn't he?
And I think that was one of the first things James Fowles really spotted with Alex Albon, his leadership qualities. He then came into the team and saw it happening in real life. And you look at the way that he treats that team as a family, the way that Alex goes around and everyone supports him, they want to do well. The cheers that went up when they told them at the town hall that Alex was staying back in the factory, they were huge because they really want him to be at that team. And look, James is trying to build something special there. And he knows that he needs an experienced driver. He needs someone who isn't afraid to get beaten down, and Alex has got beaten down at Red Bull, and he's come back fighting, and he knows that he's going to have to get his teeth stuck into this project and work really hard, and Alex wants it. And if he can be the saviour of Williams and really turn things around, what an incredible turnaround in his career.
I love the fact, in true Alex Albon style, he was somewhere quite weird, doing something odd when his contract came through.
Stingrays,
he was
wasn't
kissing stingrays in the Cayman Islands. I think that's sort of quintessentially Alex Albon. It's kind of perfect. On the other side of the garage, though, pressure is mounting once again on Logan Sargent. Davide, we're looking at the request for the FIA super license for Antonelli, that special dispensation for this young 17-year-old coming through. What do you know of him? How good is he? And is he ready for a seat at Williams?
The young kid is special. He's Italian, and we are missing a Formula One driver for so long, to be honest. And this one is the best by far that we had in the last few years. So I'm looking forward to see him in the future in Formula One. Probably it's a bit too early to be a racing driver and to be in the lineup at the moment. He's only 17. He didn't get already a podium in Formula 2. Let him have, please, some races in Formula 2 and to show his potential and to show his quality. And then promote him in Formula One. I mean, it's a bit too early, but this guy, he knows how to be fast, he knows how to drive a Formula One car and a racing car. So.
I mean, the dispensation could just be for free practice ones, couldn't it? We don't quite know yet whether he's going to get that full-time seat this season or indeed next season. One of the puzzles of the driver market. Ollie Behrman is stepping into the Haas in FP1. We've seen him make his F1 debut under the most extraordinary circumstances in Saudi Arabia, Lawrence. How excited are you to see him back out there again?
I'm super excited. I think it's great that he's here. Obviously, he's full of smiles after that great performance in Saudi. But I think, interestingly, Ollie Behrman is actually one of those people, or one of the reasons why they're even looking at Kimi Antonelli as a reason to come into Formula One, because Ollie did such a great job in that stand-in performance in Saudi. And just as an aside, I'm actually hearing that it is for an FP1 that they're going for that special dispensation, and that they want to give him the whole year. Both Williams and Merck, whoever gets their hands on him, want to give him the whole year in the car, because actually, like Davide was saying, why ruin or risk ruining talent and bringing him in too early when you don't actually need to? And that gives Logan a little bit of respite and to maybe try and find a reason to fight for that seat for a little bit longer.
Yeah, it seems silly to rush him through, especially when it feels like his season hasn't quite got going in F2 just yet. Obviously, in Miami, Kevin Magnussen was a very, very busy man indeed, Davide. What did you make of some of his moves, of the penalties, but of ultimately what was teamwork required to get Nico Hülkenberg a point in P7 in the sprint race?
Okay, was a teamwork, a team job, what he did for the sprint race, but maybe it was too much. I mean, I don't like so much to see a driver so aggressive to defend the position. I know that he's working and he's doing it for the team, but you know, you need to be fair and you need to be equal with the other guys, with your rival. It was a bit, probably too much, but I heard the word from Lewis Hamilton just after this race, and Hamilton said, I love that race.
He enjoys
I like,
scrapping,
I like to be hard with him, and I know that Magnussen is a hard driver, so if they enjoy it, I really enjoy the fighting on TV.
On the other hand, Andrea Stella said he should have got a race ban for it. But I guess that is racing, isn't it? You're going to have two people on very different sides of the fence there. And Kevin Magnussen currently sitting on a number of penalty points after a busy weekend for him in Miami. Nico Hulkenberg is 37 years old, I believe. I hope that's right. 37, 36 years old. He's never raced here in Imola in any championship, in any form. He's making his debut here. Very excited. I spoke to him earlier about that. And of course, that Haas now has full upgrades on it. And importantly here, 3 practice sessions for them to really test the limits, find the envelope, find the optimum working condition of that Haas. I'm not sure who that was that just went past. They had a helmet on and everything, but came very rapidly up the inside there. Anyway, Sauber, another team who's brought upgrades. Upgrades is going to be a buzzword of this weekend. Of course, our first European race. Proximity to all the factories means get these upgrades here and working. What do you think Sauber can do here? Because they need points as well.
Yeah, they massively need points. Bottas in the Constructors' Championship, and for a team who have put so much resource in since Audi decided that they wanted to buy it, I think it's a disappointing sort of start to the season. But I was talking to Andreas Seidel, who's the Audi CEO, coming into this weekend, and he was saying that actually it's only a couple of tenths. You know, it's not like they're several seconds behind the rest of the pack. It's actually they've just made mistakes, like operationally in the pit stops, operationally elsewhere, maybe finger trouble and some quality control issues that being the problem. So hopefully with these upgrades that they bring, if they correlate like the data is saying, hopefully that will potentially bring Valtteri Bottas and Joe into the mix. And look, boy, don't both of those need something at the minute, because they've lost one of them's lost their seat at that team, and they both need to start proving that they deserve to stay on the grid next year.
I spoke to Valtteri earlier on. He said the upgrades obviously focusing on downforce, but also on the pit stop trouble they have been having. So fingers crossed for them that is now going to be sorted with the upgrades that they have managed to bring here. We'll move to Alpine, another team who've had pretty much a shocker of a start to this season by their own high standards. They were once sitting P5 in the championship. They were P10. They've now picked up a point through Esteban Ocon last time out. It's not where they want to be, scrapping for the minor points, but he was excited about the challenge of the curbs here, Davide, because there have been some tweaks to this circuit. Curbs, one thing, but also gravel. I'm quite excited about this. There is a lot of gravel that's been laid out there.
Yeah, they changed the circuit for this race and for this year. They had gravel and they took out tarmac on the escape road, so the track became more difficult. You cannot have a little mistake and you crash into the barrier, so it's going to be tricky and puts a lot of pressure on the driver, because usually it's like to have a wall. If you miss the white line at the exit of the corner, you immediately go to the gravel that brings you to the barrier. So Imola knows and is known to be difficult and to be an hard old style circuit, and so I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, there's gravel has been added to turn 1, turn 11 to 13, the runoff reduced. Turn 14 and 15, that chicane, gravel's also been added, and a gravel trap has been placed at turn 9. Could be very interesting. And of course, upgrades are being brought onto these cars. Time out there, time running in practice is all important. No one wants to get beached in the gravel, because we're seeing the start, and I guess in full swing now, the development race between these teams. Alpine will definitely be wanting to get in there, but equally as well, Aston Martin, you feel perhaps they've lost a little bit of time in that development race. McLaren have stepped right up. Mercedes are thereabouts ahead of them. Ferrari have jumped right up. You know, this time last year they were P2. Yeah. Lawrence, Aston Martin's upgrades and getting them working and switched on, that's going to be important.
If you talk to Aston Martin, they'll tell you that actually they're closer to the front of the pack. So actually in real time, their car is actually much closer to the Red Bull, say. But actually you're right in terms of points scored, they've come nowhere really near the podium so far this year. They're struggling to get more than like 5th, 6th, because the car just doesn't have the race pace. In qualifying, it's been really, really, really very strong. Particularly Fernando Alonso, he's delivered some classic Alonso laps this year. So I think what they'll be hoping with the upgrades is not just generally delivering overall car performance, but they can get an understanding of why they're able to get them all out of the car when it's on soft tyre over one lap, and not able to just really make that tyre work, get it in the right window for Sunday's afternoon. So I think that's why 3 practice sessions here this weekend will really help a team like Aston Martin, because they just need that time to learn about their car.
Yeah, they've got 3 hours of running as well. They'll all be looking forward to that after 2 sprint weekends on the bounce. Davide, we'll come to Mercedes. We'll come to the direction their car's going in just a moment. You're shaking your head. I'm not sure any of us quite know. They say they do know, but I am going to ask you, as a proud Italian, Lewis Hamilton's first weekend in Italy after being announced as a Ferrari driver. Can you even imagine and begin to describe the reception he may receive here?
It's going to be huge. To be honest, the voices in Italy at the moment makes all of us very happy. Hamilton already signed for the next season. Adrian Newey that probably is going to be in Ferrari in the future.
Do you know more than us? Being an Italian, do you have some inside gossip for us?
We are just smiling at the moment, and I'm looking forward to have Hamilton also because in the last few races is delivering and is performing. He's struggling a bit at the beginning of the season. He was always complaining at the radio with the car and with the difficulties, not very high speed on the straight. But then he delivered the result in wet condition in China. He had a huge race on Sunday in Miami. So I think he's coming back. He's coming back swinging, and I hope he's going to be performing during this weekend. We all love Lewis Hamilton, and I'm sure that all the Italian crowd is going to let him know that he's the one for the future for us.
And Lawrence, if your voice can bear it, one final question for you.
Yeah, of course.
Mercedes, Toto Wolff saying that we have found the direction this car is meant to be going in. It's going to take a few races for the decisions that we're making on this car to bear fruit. How do you see that? Because when we see them so wildly experimenting with the car, a P18 in qualifying to a P2 in a sprint race for Lewis Hamilton, for example, it seems to us they look a little bit lost.
Well, they changed the way they approached the weekend in Miami. They tried to bring everything back, not do any experiments, try and set the car up. And if I'm honest, if they're honest, it didn't really work out that well. I'm not saying they're going to go back to the experimenting, but look, they got the second part of their upgrade package here. They brought half of it earlier to Miami. We've got to trust in Toto that they believe that they know what they're doing. But as you said, they've said this before. The team has said it a couple of times now that they know what the direction is. And I think the trouble for them at the minute is that McLaren are saying they know what they're doing, making massive steps. Ferrari are making steps and could make a massive step here. And suddenly, when we're talking about the top 3 teams, we're talking about Red Bull, Ferrari and McLaren and not Mercedes. I tripped up when I was talking to Max earlier and I was talking about the top 3 and I was about to say Mercedes. We're not soon going to be saying that anymore. It's going to be McLaren.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thank your voice. Bless you. Thank you very much for all your efforts today, Lawrence.
I made it
You'll
through.
be better tomorrow. I absolutely guarantee it. Let's take a look at how the schedule shapes up as we look ahead to a bumper European weekend of action here in Imola. Okay, free practice 1, we'll be building up to that one at 1:15 p.m. track time for our first hour of running. Then we have 2 more hours of practice to come as well on a normal weekend. FP2, 4:45 p.m. we'll be building up to that one. 12:15 for FP3, and then qualifying, our pre-quali show starting at 3:30 p.m. all the way through to pole position and our post-qualifying show as well. And then race day here in Imola. And I have to say this once, the Formula One MSC Cruises Gran Premio del Made in Italy e dell'Emilia Romagna will begin with our pre-race show at 2 p.m. We can call it Emilia Romagna Grand Prix or just Imola, whatever you want to call it, but that is its full title if we wish to give it the respect it deserves. Okay, Lawrence, a few more words from you if I can. Your predictions for this weekend, please.
So I'm thinking a Ferrari win, which hopefully will delight the fans. We're surprised that day.
Yeah.
A Charles Leclerc win. I'm thinking a Lando Norris second, Max Verstappen third. I think it's going to be a completely crazy race.
Love it. Davide, your prediction, please.
I agree with you. No, I think it's going to be very important quali. Usually on dry, here in Imola, qualify is extremely important to get the result on Sunday. So after Saturday, we already discover how it's going to be the race. But I agree with you. If Ferrari wins, we are all happy here.
You'll be a very, very happy man. And Ferrari will want you back with F1 TV as some sort of good luck charm, I'm sure. I'm going to disagree with you on Italian soil. I know, Davide, sorry, I like to do this just for a bit of jeopardy. I'm going to say we're going to see a McLaren win. I'm going to say they have winning momentum. I'm going to say it's going to be a Lando Norris win.
That's the double.
I know. I think he's going to back it up He's going to back it up, and I'm going to say a Charles Leclerc P2 and a Max Verstappen P3, but Oscar Piastri could get in there as well. Davide looks absolutely perplexed. We'll all be proven wrong come Sunday when Max Verstappen wins. But there we go. Davide Valsecchi, thank you very much indeed for your first weekend warm-up. Pleasure to have you. Lawrence Barretto, thank you. Rest your voice. Thanks all of you for watching as well. Come join us tomorrow for free Practice Friday here in Imola. See you then.
Welcome to Imola.
Are you ready for the thrill of speed?
That was a very lovely Sunday.